Everyone's talking about this. On Saturday, Elon Musk sent an email to all federal workers asking them to reply with 5 things they accomplished in the last week or risk being fired. Of course, the workers were furious, mostly about getting a work email on a Saturday. But
something they might have to do something about and explain what you do for a living. I know that could be a heavy lift for a lot of people, inside and outside the government. What a country it is we have here. The wild, wild west. And a very good Tuesday to you. Welcome back once again. We can be reached at 888-630-9625. Absolutely toll-free to you, our beloved listeners, our audience, the American people. And maybe a couple of commies, too, but been saying for years that the government doesn't listen to the radio show, but they monitor the radio. It's the radio show. It's a funny country we're living in these days. And President Trump busy once again, 24-hour cycle, and President Trump busy for about 18 hours of that 24-hour cycle. It has been 21 hours since last we convened, and at the end of my 3-hour radio program yesterday, and an awful lot has happened, as you might imagine. The all kinds of stuff about the Philadelphia Eagles. The fans want to burn Washington down. Now, that's kind of an amazing thing. Going to have to build a jail for the Eagles fans. If they come to the White House. Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFL football team, the Super Bowl champions, they plan to celebrate Super Bowl win with the White House visit. It's a White House visit because the first story that broke yesterday was that they weren't going to come to the White House. They're not coming to the White House. Why would they come to the White House? They're not coming. And a short time later, that all changed because somebody asked them, and they said, oh, yeah, we're going to the White House. Sure, we're going to the White House. Don't be silly. Of course we're going to the White House. Why wouldn't we go to the White House? We'll see you there. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Womp, womp, womp. And so the Eagles coming out with, does that mean there will be riots in D.C. and stuff burning and people climbing lampposts? Do we have to grease our lampposts like in Philly? It's hard to say. Also, President Trump yesterday endorsing Vivek Ramaswamy, who announced, and I talked about this yesterday a little bit on the radio, Vivek Ramaswamy announcing yesterday that he's running for governor. He wants to be the gubernatorial. He is running for governor. He announced yesterday of the great state of Ohio, the wonderful state of Ohio. And Vivek Ramaswamy yesterday with a big campaign event and people cheering, and it was classic, and it was a lot of fun, and it's great. And the Democrats hate him because they're racists. What other possible explanation could there be? We've got remarkable things going on all over the place. President Trump says he wants to restart the Keystone XL pipeline, the big oil pipeline from Canada, which is America's hat. And I got to tell you, there was a story out of Wisconsin yesterday, and on my television show on the Newsmax channel last night at 10 p.m., I suggested that maybe at this point we should give Wisconsin statehood in Canada. Instead, you see what they've done there? They've rejected the idea of men and women. They don't like gender because there are a lot of Democrats up there, and they're all screwy. They're all screwy. They have screws loose. They're goofy. They're wacky. They've got a lot of issues, a lot of psychological, mental, and mostly sexual issues. Their mental and psychological issues tend to gravitate towards sexual dysphoria, gender dysphoria, all kinds of weird things. But they've got that going on with them. In any event, President Trump wants to restart the Keystone XL pipeline that Joe Biden killed and the Democrats killed, killing thousands and thousands of high-paying union jobs that the Democrats murdered because they want Russia to be energy independent, but not the United States. Everything they do is good for Russia and good for Iran, good for China. And that's where does Joe Biden's family get all their money anyway? A lot of it from China, a lot of it from Ukraine, a bunch from Russia, certainly. And they funneled billions and billions Joe Biden did, to Iran, the Islamic Republic, the Islamic Revolution in Iran. The Democrats love sponsoring the people that would kill us all. For some reason, they're not on our side. Remarkable stuff. But, yeah, Trump says he wants Keystone XL pipeline to be built. The Reuters news agency is typing on behalf of their party, the Democrat Party. And how dare he? Honestly, the Democrats, they've said the craziest things about this. And what was it? Wasn't it Kamala who said they could train for jobs, in Uzbekistan, coding computers or something? These people, they say things in the news media, coups. They coo. They pet them and paw them. You know what they want to do to them. You know all about it. Also, here's a fun story. The New York Post has the story, and the Washington Post doesn't, because it's not a newspaper. Their slogan is, it looks like a newspaper, but it's not. And here's the headline of the New York Post. Tech guru, admired by Elon Musk, estimates over $100 billion in taxpayer money is being wasted or stolen. $100 billion in taxpayer money being wasted or stolen. The Democrats are just wrestling. They've got a moral dilemma on their hands. Which do they like more? Do they like waste more than fraud? Fraud more than abuse? But the Democrats are fighting, hammer and tong, to protect waste, fraud, and abuse, and to prevent anyone from looking at waste, fraud, and abuse. What does that tell you? I mean, if they were 5-year-olds instead of, monkeypox-ridden adults, what would you say to this 5-year-old who's trying to prevent you from looking in the closet where, they've got a bunch of stuff hidden and they're standing in front of the door with their arms outstretched, their fingernails dug into the walls, saying, no, don't look in the closet, don't look in the closet. And that's what the Democrats are doing now when it comes to waste, fraud, and abuse. I might suggest that that's because they love waste, fraud, and abuse. They're getting fat and rich and monkeypox-ridden off of waste, fraud, and abuse. And their favorite, what do they call them now? STIs, sexually transmitted infections, because they grew tired of STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. And now with the STIs or STDs, monkeypox is their favorite. I saw a poll. They got a poll, and monkeypox is their favorite. Hey, wait a minute. This says POLE. What is that? That's not a survey. That's kind of weird. What is that? Yeah, so tech guru who Elon Musk follows on Twitter and so on says she says over $100 billion in taxpayer money being wasted or stolen. Is that over the course of a week or a year? I'll get into that in a little bit. Just amazing. Also, the Democrats very, very upset. Federal workers sue. They sue. They're suing. They love everything to end up in court. And then they venue shop for an Obama nomination. Obama nominated him or her to the court. Biden nominated him or her to the court. And then they are going to be about 98% sure that the corrupt judge will behave as corrupt judges are supposed to behave, and that is corruptly. And they'll do whatever the Democrat Party wants, regardless of the law and the Constitution, because they're party team players. They want to be invited to things on weekends and over the summer in the Hamptons. And if they don't do what the party wants, then they'll lose their invitation privileges. Amazing stuff. But federal workers, don't call them employees, sue over Elon Musk's threat to fire them if they don't explain their accomplishments. This is the Panhandler Broadcasting System. They've got this hysterical story, and of course they're defenders of the state, of the government at PBS, because they're a Democrat Party front group funded by us, the taxpayers. We're very generous, yet not always very intelligent people. Very generous. We just give our money and other people's money to left-wing causes everywhere you look. Everywhere. Every time you look up, there's another left-wing cause. What is that? How many billions of dollars did they give to Stacey, Abrams in Georgia? $2 billion. Gave her $2 billion. She started up a fake nonprofit, and Joe Biden immediately, she put $100 in the kitty, $100 bill in the kitty. And then the Biden administration jumped in and gave her $2 billion. $2 billion of our dollars. And nobody goes to prison over this stuff. These people are the biggest thieves in the history of the world. And we act like it's normal because we have a news media that is interested in dating them. And when I say dating them, what I mean is, all right, I'll move on. So there it is, confusion, another, the British Broadcasting Corporation out of Great Britain. Confusion over Musk demand that federal workers justify their jobs. Again, I mentioned this yesterday. First of all, for my job, I have to justify my job constantly, really, every day, 3 hours live in the radio. Then we have ratings that come out quite frequently, and we have streaming numbers, and I am judged on an ongoing basis based on my job performance, and it's not as though I don't show up for a month, and then when my boss says, hey, what have you been doing for the last month? I cry and pound the table and say, how dare you ask me what I do? I do good things. Yeah, just write that so we know. Just write down what you do. And they had this woman on CNN yesterday who was kind of crying and sobbing. She's a little liberal, and she went on CNN, and she said, I can't believe they asked me to justify my job. They asked me to put down 5 things that I do, and I can't think of 5 things. Just keep sending my paychecks. I'll be at home in my pajamas, hanging upside down, stretching out my backy back. I've got to do Pilates because, my... And that's, she was on CNN. She was on CNN. Jasmine is in the next room through the big glass bubble there. And she's already yucking up a storm this morning, already laughing up a storm. So you got that, yeah. Confusion, the BBC, over Musk demand that federal workers justify their jobs. Didn't say justify your jobs, just said respond to this email so we can find out if there's anybody at this email. What if there's nobody at this email? What if we're sending checks to people that died years ago? How would we even know? Since, work from home, they like to say WFH, don't they? WFH, right? And, like on weekends, just H, but on weekdays, WFH, because you work from home. They love to abbreviate everything, like the communists in the Soviet Union. Amazing stuff. These people, can I just say? And this is the fun one. Government worker. Again, Soviet lexicon. Government worker says she was absolutely infuriated. That's what she said, absolutely infuriated, by Doge email asking her to say what she did last week. Hey, what'd you do last week? You're fired. How about let's start over again. You're fired. You can go home now. Now you're not WFH. You're just H, okay? HLFW. Home looking for work. See, you're home looking for, because you haven't done anything for years that we can tell. Isn't that amazing? So I got that. And this lady on CNN, and she really is just a classic textbook example of what people like me have been talking about for years. Amazing stuff. Yes, sir. The Democrats don't like Elon Musk. You've heard about this, I think. Very angry. He asked people what they do to earn their living. And that happens in every corporation. Our boy, Jeff Wolf, we call the professor here around the radio station. He heard this the other day, and he said, what are they complaining about? I got to do that at the end of every week. The end of Jeff Wolf. Have you ever heard of Jeff Wolf? The whole country knows Jeff Wolf. Right? Not really, but he has to fill out every week a form explaining what he did this week because his employers want to see from him what he did this week. Isn't that amazing? But the Democrats, they hate Elon because hate is really their only value. It's not a family value unless you count like the Manson family. It could be a Manson family value that the Democrats have today. But hatred is it's the backbone of everything they do, hatred. They hate Donald Trump, Orange Man bad, mean tweets. They love gang members from Venezuela marauding through neighborhoods. But here's a great Tesla story. The Los Angeles Times, Oregon Tesla showroom shot up with guns weeks after arson attack on same store. So they firebombed it, and then they shot it up because, ask Steve Scalise and ask Donald Trump and ask Ronald Reagan and ask any Republican out there, the crazy Democrats. I could list police officers here for the rest of the day that the Democrats they're not a friendly political party. Yeah, Tesla showroom shot up, right? Weeks after arson attack on same store. And it's all Democrats. But the news media, they don't notice this stuff. They just, they're busy spreading monkeypox. They love monkeypox. I've got a bit of an update on Ukraine. President Trump working to bring peace. The Democrats, well, it never occurred to them bringing peace. And how about the moron jihadis of Hamas blowing up buses in Israel the other day? They kind of screwed something up. I'll explain what that is coming up. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right. Another action-packed 3 hours today because they can't help themselves. They give and they give. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Brian calling from Potomac, Maryland. Brian, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Christopher, thank you so much for taking my call.
You
just
betcha.
wanted to say, I just wanted to say that it's absolutely disgusting to see that there has been an entire class of employees created by the federal government who seem to think that their jobs are some kind of sanctified right, that they don't have to answer or account for anything. And it's almost like the individuals that believe Microsoft or other Power 500 companies exist to employ people. No, they employ people to get things accomplished. And the government is working to accomplish its own self-serving narrative. Now, are they all thinking this way? Of course not. But it's actually nice to see somebody finally holding this Leviathan to account.
Yeah, and you were speaking to Jasmine a minute ago, and you were explaining to Jasmine that you were serving in the United States military, correct?
No, I don't want to. I apologize. I think she might have got me confused. My father served.
I apologize.
I did not have the honor.
No, you're no. That's my mistake. I apologize. Let us see. You've had it with the idea that you get a job with the government, you've got it until you retire, and nobody ever looks at you askance. No one ever asks you a question. You just float along and do what you feel like doing, and it kind of, and look, and you know, and I know that a great many government employees work very hard all the time, and right now, to some degree, they're getting a bad rep, but they're getting a bad rep because of certain people and the way that certain people behave, all right? And that is That is one of the problems. Wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this government employee. I've got it coming up. Crazy Democrat government employee. I'm concerned about Rachel Maddow, aren't you? Just kidding. All right, let us go back to the telephones, and then I need to get to these crazy Democrats, and also President Trump on the subject yesterday. But right now, let's go to Mike calling from Binghamton, New York. Michael, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris, and thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I wanted to comment about all of the people that are chimp screaming about having to answer an email to justify their job. From August of 2019 to August of 2022, I was stationed just down the road from you at Fort Belvoir as a Sergeant First Class, as well as a special agent for Army CID. And at the beginning of the scamdemic, I had to report by 9 a.m. Monday through Friday via computer that I was on the job and what I had planned for that day, because you still have to exercise when you're in the Army. If I were to leave my apartment in Woodbridge I would have to report that I was going out and what I was going to be doing and an approximate time that I would be back. I'd have to respond again when I got back in. At the end of the day, I had to answer for what I had accomplished that day on investigations and that I was signing off for the day. So, this is nothing new. And that was, again, 2019 to 2022, there was somebody else in the White House.
Right. Yeah. And, they say, well, that's the military. I'm just with, what's she with? The League of Women Voters. She's with the National Labor Relations Board. Wait till you hear this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's so you actually had to justify your existence. Now you're standing by with a rifle in the corner, prepared to go to war and put your life on the line. And they were rousting you and harassing you to justify your daily existence. So they knew that when they sent you your gigantic paycheck every 2 weeks, that you were earning it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so when you see these people, what did you describe it? Chimp screaming?
Yes.
Yeah, chimp screaming.
Chimp screaming.
Yeah, when you see the people chimp screaming, and that's a good description as to what they're doing, and they do that quite frequently in traffic, on highways, and in D.C. and Los Angeles, they're constantly aping around the place and flapping their arms and screaming at the top of their lungs and spitting, and being lefties. But they don't have to. They're just here to collect the paycheck, and a great many of them are doing everything they can to just keep it to the bare minimum. And
yeah, exactly.
And those are, you're so busy. You're still busy now. You never stop. You're just, you never stop moving because you got a lot of stuff to do. That's
you're
great stuff.
Correct.
And you're now out of the Army, Michael. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm retired. 22 years.
No kidding. Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yes.
Busy 22 years, huh?
Sure was. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to see any far off and exotic places?
Oh, yeah. I got to see lovely Afghanistan 4 times.
4 times. All right.
It's just like going to the beach.
Without the water and the nice-looking people.
Or the bikinis.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, they got maybe an occasional burkini. I love the burkini. That's a great one. Bring that girl a margarita.
I'll tell you. Let me tell you this real quick funny story because I was an Army reservist. So my full-time job was I was a firefighter for the city of Binghamton, New York, and I came back from one deployment, and I asked about my vacation time, and I was a pretty senior guy at this point on the fire department, and they said, oh, hey, all of those vacation slots are already taken up. It's because these guys were here doing their job. They weren't off gallivanting around the world.
Yeah,
come on. I'm like, I was in Afghanistan, not Club Med.
Well, I wasn't really on vacation the whole time. Wow. So you're a firefighter, Binghamton, New York. You're an Army reservist. You deployed to Afghanistan 4 times, and then you're at Fort Belvoir outside of Washington, D.C., south of Washington, D.C., and they're dogging you every day. What have you been doing with your hours? You got to account for your time.
Right, exactly. Well, what's the big deal? You know?
So when you hear this stuff, you more than just about anyone have an extra special right to just shake your head and spit at the ground and walk away.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That is great. That's an amazing story. Now, listen, Michael, I want to get to this idiot who was on CNN yesterday, this woman who's a Democrat, and let you listen to her because I think you'll enjoy her story. And, Mike, I'm saluting you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We appreciate it right back. Now, let's go to these nitwits because they're quite amazing, aren't they? And CNN is a very silly place, a very, very silly place. And we have President Trump. Now, this is Elon Musk, and they hate, they're firebombing Elon Musk's business in Oregon. It's in Oregon, right? Is that the place that they blew up? And then they attacked with firearms because the left is very, very violent and murderous. I think everyone should know that by now. But that is a pretty remarkable story. I'm concerned about Rachel Maddow, though. Also, did you see Congressman Dan Crenshaw saying that he'd kill Tucker Carlson? Republican congressman. Kind of a strange thing. He didn't say he'd kill Rachel Maddow, but said he'd kill Tucker Carlson. Kind of weird. And Rachel Maddow, we got her all over the place too. And the troglodytes in Israel, I've got a story about that. That's quite amazing. They can't do anything right. These troglodytes, these pit-dwelling cavemen of radical Islam, of Hamas, they're quite remarkable. But let's get to this ridiculous woman. Yeah, Oregon showroom. I love the Oregon showroom story. I haven't really talked. Let me just share this because the Latin Times, Oregon Tesla showroom shot up weeks after arson attack on same store, : God, they love their colons. Police. And then always the one word after the colon, right? A Tesla showroom in Oregon was struck by gunfire just weeks after an arson attack damaged the same dealership, according to local authorities. And who else would you ask? Wouldn't have the FBI in there or anything for firebombing, political attack, terrorism, and then the gunfire. On Wednesday, just before 5 a.m., Salem, Oregon police responded to reports of damage at a Tesla facility. Officers discovered that several showroom windows had been shattered by gunfire. The usual stuff, you know. No suspects have been identified, right? Because, Democrats. And no arrests have been made as of now. The FBI has joined the investigation alongside the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which, again, should be a convenience store and not a government agency, and local law enforcement. The same Tesla dealership located in Salem, Oregon, was first targeted in January when one of its vehicles was set on fire in what investigators suspect was an arson attack. KOIN reported. That's KOIN, the famous station KOIN. They reported. No big deal, though. Authorities have not determined whether the attacks are politically motivated. Yeah, I don't know. It's anybody's guess, really. Search me. I'm searching myself. Search me. I can't figure out whether this might have been politically motivated or connected to Musk's involvement with Trump. Let's take a wild guess. But the timing of the incident has raised questions. I would think so. It's probably appropriate that questions should be raised about that. It reminds me of the Democrat that self-immolated in Las Vegas, killed himself, was hoping to murder many more people by blowing up the Tesla truck. Is that what they call the Tesla truck? Yeah, the Cybertruck. And this guy went out and rented a Tesla Cybertruck, right? Went to the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, filled the Tesla Cybertruck with nail bombs, and while sitting in the vehicle, he self-detonated. He detonated and killed himself. And there were nail bombs, like barrel-sized nail bombs in there that were designed to kill lots and lots of people at the Trump Hotel in Vegas. And he failed because he's a liberal, and he only killed himself. But it was another suicide, self-immolation attack, the Tesla cyber attack at Las Vegas Trump Hotel. And that was no big deal in the news media. That's just, it's not really a news story at all. Pretty amazing stuff. Las Vegas, and this is the Democrats do a lot of this now, a lot of it. The 2025 Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion. Pretty amazing stuff. Matthew Allen Levelsberg. What? Levelsberger. His name was Matthew Allen Levelsberger. That might have been the start of the problem right there. He was born Levelsberger. Boy, that was pretty amazing. Blew himself up at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas in a Tesla vehicle. I think I see a pattern emerging here. Just don't ask him what he's done with himself for the last week, because that really infuriates them. So that is a crazy story. And actually, that one goes with another story, since these Democrats are blowing each other up. And you know how the Islamists, they love to blow themselves up and blow other people up, too, just like Levelsberger. Pretty amazing stuff. But it turns out that this crazy bus a series of buses were blown up in Tel Aviv last week. And my friend Matthew Foldy was there in Israel, and he was going back and forth from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and surrounding environs. But here it is, Israel bus explosions rock Tel Aviv area in suspected terror attack. Hey, what was your first clue? And this was on February 20th of 2025. That is to say, 5 days ago. 3 buses, they're city buses, in Israel detonated. And what police are investigating is a suspected terror attack, according to multiple reports. 2 empty buses exploded simultaneously in different parking lots in Bat Yam near Tel Aviv before a third bus went up in flames, according to Israeli media reports. Additional bombs were also planted on the 2 buses planted on 2 other buses in Bat Yam, and they failed to explode because they're not even good at that. It's things you'd think they'd be good at, but not even good at that. They have since been disabled, the additional bombs. Now, here's the crazy thing about this story that I learned, that they had timers on them, and they were set for, I think they were set for 9:30. They were set for 9:30, which is the middle of morning rush hour. But the terrorists are so stupid that they set the detonators for PM instead of AM. So the buses blew up at 9:30 at night while their buses were in parking lots. And then, the troglodytes are like, oh, no, I can't believe I set the PM instead of AM. I'm so stupid. And they slap themselves on the forehead with the heel of their hands. So terror is one of the advantages you have when you're dealing with troglodytes, is that you're probably smarter than them. All right, let's get to, PM. I meant AM. Oh, I'm so, honestly, you guys are going to have to hunt you down and kill your whole family. That's pretty amazing stuff. All right, now let's get to this idiot. President Trump talked about it yesterday, actually, about the Elon Musk email saying, hey, tell me 5 things you did last week, and the Democrats are really angry. President Trump.
There was a lot of genius in sending it. We're trying to find out if people are working. And so we're sending a letter to people. Please tell us what you did last week. If people don't respond, it's very possible that there is no such person or they're not working.
No such person, or maybe they're not working. Maybe they're WFH, but they're not really W much. They're just FH, But then CNN invited a woman on who is a field examiner for the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB. She examines fields. That's kind of weird. How do you dress for that? And her name is M.T. Snyder. M.T. Snyder went on CNN to complain that somebody asked her what she does for a living.
I got this email Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m., and I felt absolutely infuriated getting this email with a demand within 48 hours to provide a response on what I did within the last week or face termination.
That was too much for her. She got at 3 p.m. absolutely infuriated. And then she went on CNN. And as my friend Seton Motley pointed out online, would have taken a lot less time to just answer the question in the email than it took you to book yourself onto CNN and set up, everything and do your live shot from home. M.T. Snyder.
This is clearly an attempt from Elon Musk to harass and bully and intimidate the federal workforce, which is part of his broader plan to gut the federal workforce and privatize public sector services to ensure that corporations like his own can get more profit. And that makes me really angry, and my coworkers as well.
Living is easy with eyes closed, bump, 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 misunderstanding all you see, dun, dun, dun. She made something up. If there's a Tesla dealership in her neighborhood, I think it might be in danger. So instead of just answering the question, it's about harassing, bullying, and intimidating so Elon Musk can make more money because he's only got $400 billion to his name, and he's probably looking for more. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, and he said the other day, he was asked at CPAC, well, people say you're trying to loot the Social Security fund. And he said, yeah, finally I'll be able to buy nice things.
I don't think you care about money, do you?
I mean, listen, like, if I steal some Social Security, I can finally buy nice things.
Yeah.
You know?
We have a big planetary cavalcade happening in the stars and the skies this week, too. Want to talk about that a little bit later. Right now, let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Cole, calling from Stafford, Virginia. Cole, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. So I'm a defense contractor, military. I've done a lot of different things. But we have to submit usually a war report, the weekly activity report, once a week. So individuals would submit what they do as a contractor. That's what we did for the week, and then that would usually go to a WPM who would compile it all for the PM, who would send it to the government program manager or the Corps, the contracting officer, right? So that's like normal protocol, but usually we're on classified systems. So I kind of agree. A lot of people should not be doing that on an unclassified system. So that general notion like, hey, baby, don't do it kind of makes sense. In areas where you're not dealing with classified stuff, this should be no-brainer. But usually contractors, they have to justify their existence all the time. As reservists, I got to justify every drill. We have to put together stuff that says this is what we did, and we send that up, and it goes up to higher because we have to justify our existence to the active component as well as overall to the reserve force.
And you're not even
kind of normal protocol.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's just kind of normal protocol.
Right.
Right. That's not.
And you're a contractor. You're not even technically a government employee. You're a contractor, and I love you call it a war. The weekly activity report is your war report, right?
Right. And I've been doing this for well over 2 decades.
Okay. And there are lots and lots, probably a couple of million people that work in or work for the government that are required to do exactly the same thing.
Correct. And in some places, maybe some of the gubbies do that already. I just I'm not part of their protocols. But the one thing that's frustrating is that lady that got on that talked about privatizing the government service, it didn't make sense. I think Trump wants to reduce 100,000 less than what Clinton did, and the government still existed after Clinton did that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, we're not for double standards. Liberals would have no standards at all, and they don't know much of what happened before this morning because their brains are not really the best brains.